evening.
That's why I'm so happy to stay here.
Okay, great. Always happy to have you. Anyone else from Division 23 East? Any other friend from Division 23 East with us this evening? Okay, well, how about Division 23 West? Division 23 West? Okay, well, what about Division 23 Central? Do we have anyone from Division 23 Central with us? In addition to our honor Kiwanis Club of Kingston person PE Redicy.
Oh yes, PE Newton.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm past my bedtime here. So my brain is fried. So sorry, forgive me. But yes, we just have Kiwanis Dyer and myself and dual member LGD Desmond visiting with you. So we look forward to this spirited meeting. And thank you so much. I hope you can really make it spirited so I can stay awake because I'm past my bedtime.
Okay, thank you for being with us. And I must apologize from now because I can assure you the adrenaline is going to be flowing so much from the conversation that's going to take place that I don't know if you're going to get enough sleep, but let's see how it goes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Anyone else from Division 23 Central?
P. Newton.
Hi, DP Barry.
Let it not be said that Kiwanians from overseas is not online, but the fact of the matter is the Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew is having their board meeting this evening and it's face-to-face. And seeing that I can be there, I say let me join.
In terms of branding and image.
And so I'm happy to be joining.
You have a marketing plan for it.
Am I being heard?
Yes. Go ahead.
I was saying that the Kiwanis Club.
Sorry, go ahead, DP Barry. Go ahead, DP Barry. Sorry about this.
No, it's okay. I understand. The Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew is having its board meeting this evening and it's face-to-face. So where I am, I could not be in attendance. So the next best option was for me to be attending this meeting. So I look forward to have an enjoyable evening listening to the facts that you have lined up.
Thank you for joining us, DP Barry, and with us. Hope you will participate in the discussion and hope you'll have a really great evening. Thanks for coming. Anyone else from Division 23 Central?
Yes, this is Secretary Leroy from Kiwanis Club of West St. Andrew. We are currently two in numbers, and we are expected to have a few more Kiwanians to join us. Thank you.
Okay, Secretary Leroy and delegation. Thanks for being with us. Real happy that you found the time to spend with us this afternoon. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Anyone else from Division 23 Central? Okay, what about SLPs? Do we have any SLP with us this afternoon?
All right. Thanks, Richard.
Any SLP?
Oh, Rich, you coming tomorrow night?
Okay, how about guests of Kiwanian? Anyone who was invited by any Kiwanian to be here tonight?
Oh, I think I have a guest on, Ika Campbell. She has visited with us before, but I see her name on, and I'm happy to have you. So you can welcome her.
Okay, and I tell you, DP Stewart is not the only one happy to have you. We're all happy that you could join us this evening, and we hope you will come again and again and again. Thank you. Any other guests of Kiwanian?
Thank you for having me.
Okay, always our pleasure. Any other guests of Kiwanian? By the way, I really like that name, Ika. It's unique. Sure, your mother named you. Us men are not that creative.
No, actually, it was my father.
Oh, well, he represented us well then. Tell him we say thanks.
I will.
Any other guests of Kiwanians? Okay, how about someone who is with us this evening? You're not a Kiwanian, you were not invited by a Kiwanian, but you just heard that Kiwanis meetings are a great place to be and you decided to join us this evening. Anyone? No?
T.D. Newton.
I
invited my son to be on. He's a forest man and he's a enthusiast of sports. He lives in Connecticut. His name is Kwame, and he will be joining us soon.
Okay. Thanks for that, President Junior. I hope he will also join in the discussion.
Yes, I am hoping.
Right. All right. Any other? Yes? No? All right. Well, P, you really said she wants to go to her bed early tonight. So I will turn it back to you, President Junior, because I know the discussions are going to be long and they're going to be real intense. So back to you, President Junior. Just want to say to everyone, thank you for being here and always good to have you. Hope to see you again next week, Tuesday. Well, we won't be online next week, Tuesday, but I'm pretty sure President Junior will address that. But thank you for coming.
Sorry, President Junior.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. It's DP Lawyer again. I am going to apologize for my brother-in-law, Bertland Cameron. He says he's willing to join in such a discussion at another time, but he is under the weather. He has the flu, and so he can't talk now, but he will accept your invitation on another day.
Sure.
Okay. Much appreciated, DP.
Right.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, it's back to you, President Junior.
Yes, thank you. Yes, man. I would have loved to hear Bert tonight, but sorry we can't hear him, and I understand. Okay, thank you. Let us move to our next item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence at this time?
We have an apology for absence for Treasurer Orville, who is recovering from COVID. President, you heard that? Apologies for Orville Lewis.
Okay. Sorry, my mic was off. Sorry, we sorry we couldn't have him tonight, but we understand. And we wish him a speedy recovery from his flu or whatever it is. Thank you again. Any other apologies for absence? Okay. If not, we'll move to our recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. And none other to do it but our VP, Stephen. VP Stephen, your time.
Thank you, President Junior. Hello, everyone. Please forgive me. I'm currently in transit, so I have to do this part of the meeting from my car. But as is usual, as is usual, at the part of the meeting, we usually recognize Kiwanians who celebrate a birthday or anniversary for this week. So we're talking about the week of April 3rd through the 10th. And we have two special occasions that we are celebrating that we're sharing with the meeting. First of all, Director Warren McDonald celebrates his birthday on the 5th of April, tomorrow. I know Director Warren is usually attends a lot of our meetings, so he should be in on the meeting. And if he is, happy birthday to you, Director Warren, when it comes tomorrow. Also, we have another special occasion coming up later this week on the 6th of April. Past Director Reverend Strottrell Lowe and his wife Alice are celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. So that's 60. That's much older than me. So that's congratulations to both when it comes along. I don't know if Reverend Strottrell is on this call, but I know he has big plans for that anniversary. So special kudos to them. I know when you have 50th anniversary, it's a diamond anniversary. I'm not sure what 60th is representative of, but God bless 60th, a great achievement for both himself and Alice. And we, as from the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, send our heartiest congratulations. If there's anybody else, Kiwanians or guests who are also celebrating a birthday, now is a good for you to share with us what that special occasion is so that we can also send you congratulations if you have a birthday, anniversary, or anything of that nature. Open call, so to speak. No?
Question, DP Stephen.
Go ahead.
Did you say their 60th anniversary?
I did.
Because Alice doesn't look 60 to me.
Well, there you go.
They probably were born together.
They probably met as teenagers.
No, she doesn't look. Well, she doesn't look 60 to me. That's great.
That's true. So I don't. That's kudos to Reverend Strottrell as the husband, or it's just her natural genes why she looks so young.
The latter, I would say.
Yes, I'm sure you can have a quick retort to that.
Yeah, if Statue here, I'm sure you will reply to it.
So please give him a call to extend further congratulations. I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
I am sure.
All right. So that's it, President Junior. If there's no other birthdays or special occasions, we can continue with our program and back to your chairmanship.
And thank you.
Most welcome.
Thank you. Well, at this time we'll move on to our Kiwanis education. And we'll call on none other but LGD Desmond to do that for us. LGD? Yep, his mic is closed. Are you on LGD? Wow.
President, since we can't hear from LGD, I will just do the Kiwanis education. I'll just take something from the
good. Thank you.
The form of club bylaws. Very short one. It has to do with continuing or long-term projects. A club may adopt or discontinue a project that may last more than 1 year by the approval of 2/3 vote of the active members present at any regular meeting, provided written notice of the proposed adoption or discontinuance shall have been given to the members at least 2 weeks prior to the meeting. 1/3 of the active members shall constitute a quorum. There shall be no voting by proxy or absentee ballot. That's a very short Kiwanis education for this evening. Over to you, President.
Thank you, DLG. Okay, we are at the time for our main event. And I expect that this is going to be a very healthy discussion. So without further ado, I'm going to be turning discussions over to our own DP chairman, Stewart.
Okay.
Let's get it done, DP.
Thank you, President Junior. Let's say a welcome to all our Kiwanians and guests.
Yeah.
And you know, Champs 2023 has come and gone. And there were some things that weren't so good about it and some things that were great. So we're gonna delve into this evening and see how we can explore some of these. And probably we may have some ideas as to how they might want to change some things that they did this year. So we have two persons this evening on our panel. DP Marcel, who is a well-known track enthusiast. You know, sometimes when these international meets are going on, you know, he will give me a call because he wants to discuss some aspect of what is going on. So I know he's a fan, so he qualifies. And we have also Kiwani Dr. Martino Dyer. And I remember on a previous, I think it was when he was doing his up close and personal, he expressed his love for track and field. And I remember that, you know, I think he mentioned, well, I won't go into what he mentioned then, but clearly he is a lover of track and field. So we thought that we would have these two gentlemen on. Now I want to say to the audience, there will be a point where we're gonna open it up so you can put your, you know, bring your views to the fore. All right, so don't worry, you will have your opportunity to say whether or not what you think we're saying on a set go, or you might want to agree or inject some new thought that has not been brought up. So I'm gonna start with let me start with Marcel. Marcel, I want the initial opening. I want you to just give me what were your, you know, impressions of the 2023 champs. But take about 2 minutes because we are gonna go into the details afterwards. But just your initial impressions, maybe highlights, lowlights, you know, that kind of thing. And say about 2 minutes. Okay.
Thank you, DP Stewart, and good evening to everyone, sports enthusiasts all. I start by saying I think we can be justly proud again that not just ISA, not just the school, but as a country, we were able to stage a 5-day, and I'm emphasizing that it's a 5-day event, which probably took 5 months or more to organize, but it's something to really consider. That to see such an event over a 5-year period to the world. You know, I don't think, if we think seriously about it, I don't think we have any other event in the country annually that is viewed by the world all over. And yes, there were a few hiccups, but I won't go into that now. So I'm just starting by saying, I am happy to know that Jamaica was able to do this again. Obviously, it's all about, primarily about the athletes. Coaches are important, the schools are important, and the performances. What stood out, which is obvious, so I won't spend much time on that, was the 2 sprint relays, the 2 100-meter sprinted events where exceptional times were run. We have always had that, but to dip below 10, that speaks for itself. And in fact, I think I'm right in saying he's now one of only 5 persons at the junior level to have done this. And I think it is correct to say he's the only high school athlete who has gone below 10, that done sub 10 as a high school athlete. That is something to be just be proud of. But I'll be honest with you, I think Alana Reid's 10.92 was more for me because we kind of expected Bojan. But Alana's 10.92 and where she was coming from, her improvement over the past year was really, really exceptional. And she was all alone, virtually. Another thing that stood out for me again was when I looked at the class 4 at the girls and 3 and the class 3 in the boys, just to look at their technique, their performances in things like the hurdles and in the relays. It tells you why we're doing as well as we do. Because if we can get at these youngsters, possibilities to be performing like that, showing technique and form and going through rounds and performing on the day. It's not easy, especially, you know, some of us who have been there in the middle of the track. It's not easy and they're under tremendous pressure. At the start especially, I'll speak more on this later, I think we probably need to look at not being so insistent on the international level for them at the start, but that's something we can look at. Briefly to one other thing that I want to mention right up front is not related to so much on the track, but I think it's something that, given what we have in the country and in the schools, what St. Jago School did, when I saw they did after champs, a la Japanese, I know the Japanese do it all the time. They went to work, that spirit of community, and did a cleanup of their area. Now, if we can use, it may sound strange, and it's non-sport, but here's an opportunity to say to other schools, listen, carbon copy this. It will engender a spirit of cleanliness and community and welfare, you know, that could be a part of the thing going forward. Again, would be a highlight. We speak about it when the Japanese do it. Let us say this is something that Jamaica does. The other thing I want to just mention quickly, I guess I'm past the 2 minutes. When I look at the performance, the schools, there were 39 schools in the girls' championships that scored points and 21 for the boys. Again, that is saying something, you know, in sports and in so many other events. It's probably telling us something, but we can speak more on that. So that's my opening statements.
Okay, thank you, Marcel. That last point, I wasn't aware of that in terms of the number of teams in each gender who scored points, and fact that more girls schools scored. That's an interesting one, kind of reflecting where we are right now. Exactly. In terms of Jamaican track and field.
Exactly.
Okay. Martino.
Jamaican track and field, Jamaica's male and female performances as a whole and schools.
Well, there are other reasons for that, which will come under this umbrella. So that's a wider issue. Anyway, Martino, I'm really happy to have you on, and it's your turn now. And you know, using the same guidelines, give us your initial impressions.
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you quite clearly.
Yes, yes. As usual, I think the boys and girls championship did not disappoint. You know, they gave exciting performances. The highlight for me, though, as I agree, the 100 meters, you know, both male and female, you know, we have a 22-year-old record that was broken. We have a male performer who was the third junior in history to go below 10 seconds. So that speaks volume for itself. Some of the lows, I think, though, some poor sportsmanship was displayed, but we can delve more into that. Was really happy to see Heidel finally being able to claim the championship after being there for years. They've always been there, so they finally been able to cop the top prize. And I just think overall, though, I was very pleased with excitement. Being there in person, I can say the energy, it's very electrifying. Is one experience to watch it on the television, but it's another experience to be there, to feel the energy, to see the sportsmanship in the school. Is just amazing. I was glad to be a part of it this year, being one of these sport doctors of the teams.
Okay, you mind telling us which school you were helping as in your capacity as a doctor?
Yes, I was.
No, I said, you mind telling us which school?
No, I was actually part of the MOH team of doctors there.
Oh, okay. So you're all okay. I get you. Interestingly, did you say that well, you didn't call his name, but Nkrumah was the first. But tell me what your statement you made about the under 10.
Yeah, so he was actually third junior in history to break the 10 seconds barrier. That speaks volume in itself.
Yes, third. Yeah, the third. I think one of the others still is Bramel. Who was the other one? You remember?
Yes, is actually the record holder from
Teboga.
Yes.
Right. And interestingly, he is the one who beat Nkrumah in the last World Under 20 Youth. And he kind of did a bit of showboating on him. I remember it now.
I remember it quite clearly. Yes.
So it would be interesting when they meet again, if anything has changed.
Yeah.
But what I like about that is that Nkrumah did not just like going to like, okay, you're trying to embarrass me, but he went and did the work and came back stronger. So that is commendable. All right, I want to touch on let's go through some of the issues. I heard a lot of complaints on social media, or rather saw a lot of complaints. One was about scheduling. Now, I share some and I don't share other views that I've heard. For example, remember the days when, I can remember the days when both the 100, 200, and 400, which are the main sprints, were all held on a Saturday. There was such a time. However, we did come to a situation where for a number of years, we were accustomed to having the 100-meter finals on Friday. And this week, and I think we also did this last year, but last year was not as, I don't remember, was last year the year when they didn't have spectators or it was restricted?
No, I think it was the year we didn't have spectators, because what they did was just semis and they restricted the numbers.
Oh yeah, they reduced the number of persons who were eligible.
Right.
But anyhow, last year it was also the 100 meters was actually moved to Wednesday.
It was Wednesday last year, yes.
Yes, it was. So you had a situation where some persons were saying, why is it so early? And blah blah blah. So we had the 100 meters on Wednesday, and we also had the 400-meter finals on Thursday, if I remember correctly, right? But not sure what that was. So, but what I think I'm totally in support of this, because the packing up of finals on the last day has had a detrimental effect on a lot of athletes.
Yes.
I can remember Javon Francis from Calabar, who had to run 2 and 4, or well, chose to run the 2 and the 4, which is a common combination for 400 athletes, especially. And traditionally the 4 comes first, and then he just wasn't himself. I think he got himself injured in the 200. So one has to draw a line between spectator friendly and athletes friendly. And I will always opt for athletes friendly, because if without them at their best, we don't have the excellence that we desire. So I didn't have a problem with that, the Wednesday. And it is also like how we do it in the Olympics and we do it in the World Championships, where the first 2 days we do this, the 100 meters, and we get that out of the way. And afterwards we do the 200. So having the 400 as a final on the Thursday was fine. But where I think they could have changed the schedule a bit is on Friday. Normally you traditionally want to end the night with a final that people are looking forward to, or at least a final. They didn't do that. They ended the Friday night with heats. I think it was relays and so on. And any you want to comment on the scheduling and maybe bring in your 2 points?
Yes, I'm in agreement with you on seeing those who are complaining about the Wednesday night. And the complaints are all about the interests are more concerned about spectator attendance. And that's important, because anybody who has done sports, yes, they are driven by spectators attendance. But 2 things about that. We had stellar performance on the Wednesday night with limited amount of spectators. So we can not dismiss that. I understand that. But obviously, and you said it, the primary concern must be the athletes. And if we look down the line, we have seen a lot of our athletes, sprinters in particular, who perform tremendously at this level of high school. And a person will dismiss this thing about burnout. I've been there. There is a burnout by them for 2 reasons. I think part of it is psychological. But they have been pushed, and it affects athletes at that stage, at that level. I mean, not us who say that. The world bodies have said that. And in fact, they have even put restrictions, I think, in terms of the number of performances and so on. And you will have exceptional athletes. And this is the mistake some people make. You will have an exceptional athlete or 2 who can do it, right? They probably can run every day like that. But the normal above average athlete, you have to protect them. Except for Usain Bolt. I think it has been shown that a lot of our top athletes were not top performers at champs. They weren't, right? These persons who came on afterwards. And a lot of the top performers just went. So I think that speaks for itself, and persons just have to make the effort on that Wednesday night. Maybe they could shift it to Thursday, I don't know, to come out. I agree with you about the Friday. I would do a little shifting around and probably get the 400 in on the Friday, as the event to end. Because it can't be the 200, it's too close to the 100. Probably the 400 on the Friday. Maybe some shifting around could be done to do that. But that's what I think.
Yeah, I think you would have to leave one of those sprints for the Saturday anyway. So the 200 was left for the Saturday. But there's also, anyway, Martino, do you have a view on that particular aspect that we were just discussing?
Yeah, I agree. I think the scheduling of the event has to be athlete friendly. We have to protect the interests of our athletes. But at the same time, we need to, because I think what they could do, I mean, the sprint events, as we know, are the highlights of these championships. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. They could have put maybe the 400 maybe at the Friday instead. But I think accommodations, the athletes nowadays are more versatile than they were in the past. You may have athletes running 100 and 400 per se, and then depending on the because I've seen accommodations being made for athletes like Usain Bolt before at major championships, where depending on events he was running, they shuffle around they're scheduling off events to facilitate same. But I agree with what was echoed here. The interest of the athlete must come first. But I personally have an issue with the outline this time around.
Well, one thing I would say is that at the ISA level, when it's high school competition, any shuffling around of a schedule to suit a particular athlete would be a no-no, because it would be a favor. It would be a favor to a particular school. So I don't think we're gonna see that. But I get the point. Another thing about this, there's a little thing about the 100 meters that I don't think a lot of people recognize. Do you remember there was a gap? There was a gap where nothing was happening, and we kind of wondered, why was it not run earlier? Because I think the schedule allowed it to have been a little bit earlier. And the story I was getting is that they actually pushed it back beyond the actual time it was scheduled for, to await the wind, for the wind to abate in the 100 meters. And I look back on the last 2 years, and when you see the finals of the 100 meters, I look back at the records and looked at the times. They were all negative wins.
Yes.
Even last year's with Tina, right? And even the year before, right? There were the 100 meters had a negative wind speed. This year, it was positive. Not a whole lot, but it was positive. And so when we tend to look at this now and we compare Alana's performance, granted 10.92, great. But maybe if you could probably say that had last year's 100 been similarly treated, maybe we would have had that last year as well. But not to take anything away.
You're right. That's an interesting point.
But that's something that I've observed.
Yeah, and it reminds me what used to happen in the olden days, is that the 100 on the Saturday.
Yes.
Was many times it was the bigger built athletes that won or did well, simply because there was a strong wind at the
at 3 o'clock. It used to be 3 o'clock, right?
3 o'clock. And I remember the year Horace won. And one of the reasons was his height and his strength, right? The chest was there. And it suited the bigger because he had a very strong wind. So you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
And as we say, the athletes' concern must be paramount.
But one last thing before we move off this, there were a lot of nights though where it went very late.
Yeah.
I think that was beyond real scheduled time.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder about it because they need to get rest. I mean, even if your event is finished, I think the school is probably going to just leave at one time. So it's not like they can take home those who finish earlier. I don't know how they actually manage that process, but something should be done about the late night finishes. And I don't know if it was the schedule going off for various reasons, or are we getting to a point, because events have been added over the years since we have been at 5 days.
Yeah.
Events have been added. Now, I've always advocated that we should make Tuesday a full day. And I'm glad that we are now doing that.
Right.
But we have to wonder if we can't do better in terms of ending the meet a little earlier so that athletes can get home and get rest. Will we ever need 6 days? But let's leave that. Let's leave that.
I hope not.
Yes. Okay. I want to touch on something now. I think Marcel, you alluded to it. The starts. Martino, I think may have mentioned it. Something was going wrong with the starts. It wasn't totally. All right, there's one particular race I remember watching, and I didn't actually go to the stadium this year. So I was watching on television. And there was a race in which when you visually saw who came out of the blocks first, or who, you know, rose up, and then they actually disqualified another athlete. And that was the one, he was kind of really distraught. He couldn't understand why. And I'm not sure what reason he was given. Maybe he was just shown the reaction time, and the reaction time just maybe ruled him out. But it's something with it I couldn't understand, because if his reaction time was the problem, and I don't understand how come this other athlete who definitely rose up and, you know, came out of the blocks earlier, or, you know, what was happening there. Now, thanks to Bruce James, he made some he gave some highlight to the rules. And he said, for example, if you're on set and you jerk, or so long as your hands and your feet have not left the ground, it is not a DQ. It should not be a DQ.
That's it.
Right. It should be a warning.
A warning. That's what I think of the warning, right?
However, if you do it again, you can be. There's no rule that says after one time you do it again, you're disqualified. But if it happens again, you most likely would be disqualified, because for disturbing the start.
Right.
But were you all happy with how the starting was going? I mean, no. I'm not saying that we should change the rules for these youngsters. Yes. Maybe it's better that they get accustomed to it. Yes. But I just wasn't satisfied. And when they had the interview with Mr. Watts, yes, I don't think he explained himself very well. Yeah. Any comments on the starting?
I have a problem with Lodi, but one of the things that I think needs to happen, and it's not a practice in Jamaica, that not just in sports, not just in track, right, but officials, I think it's very important that, because it may be a good reason, right? I think they need to come more to the fore with us, the spectators and other interested parties, right? And just explain what happens. I think if there may be a good reason, they may have been perfectly right, but ignorance, if we don't know, then you're gonna have all kind of speculation, right? And there was some speculation on the part of or guessing on the part of hold on, you was mentioning Bruce. But he himself said so, right? And I think Neville said it to Neville, that maybe the following morning, it might be too much for the night, right? If the explanation is given, right? People will be satisfied, assuming it was for good reason. But this is one of the reasons, so I don't want to mention, I really have a concern about the class 3 and the class 4 especially, right? That it's tremendous pressure. Yeah. And I know at that age, and maybe sort of, in fact, I've spoken some children or child psychologists on this. Possibly, right? Damage or prematurely end the aspirations and the career of a, 11, 12-year-old who would have trained like crazy for the entire year. Right? Yeah. And as far as they're concerned, they're doing everything right. Because this reaction time thing, I've been there. In fact, in my days, never had that. And even then, it's extremely sensitive. And when you put a class, a little child under that kind of pressure, there could be disillusion, a possible just stop running. I saw it. So that's one of the things I was talking about in terms of the class 3 and class 4. Yes, if they do a fix that, they're disqualified. But I think it's a bit too much, that sensitivity with the reaction time.
All right. Let me bring in Martino on that point. You want to comment on that point? I'm going to express a little opinion afterwards, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think I have an popular opinion here. I don't know. Who remember back in the days when each athlete was allowed one false start? I really think we should go back to that, because after training, this is something you're training for the entire year, and to make one sliver of a mistake to have that hope and dream dashed. I think, as you were saying, for somebody who the 11, 12, 13-year-old class 2 and 4, it really has a negative impact on them. And the sensitivity of the blocks, is really an issue, because if you just press a little bit too hard, you haven't been out of the blocks, but you just press a little bit too hard, that is recorded as a false start. So, I mean, there's some issues that I think need to be ironed out with the sensitivity of the blocks there too. But I really think we should go back to the old days where each athlete is given a second chance.
Well, I've heard the I remember when we had the situation where you had an athlete who one false start, but it is across the field, and then the next one would go. I've heard somebody modify that and say, well, what they should do, because remember we were wondering, would somebody intentionally false start, knowing that they're not gonna get thrown out? And then this was when the rule was like that. And then let's the next person who has a great start have to sit in the blocks. Well, the guys, one person I've heard with a solution to that particular problem would be to say that if a second person did false start and he was gonna be out, then the one who got the break the first time, who did pick, he should go too, which would remove any incentive for anybody to intentionally false start. So people are coming up with kind of ideas, as to how. But let me just tell you what I have a pet peeve with. Remember, the reaction time is seldom negative. I mean, it is always after the gun.
Yes.
It is now 0.01. Okay. No, I don't understand. They are theorizing. No, you are being thrown out, not for what you have. You didn't pick the start. You didn't leave before the gun.
Exactly.
So I think
have an advantage.
Yeah, if you are able to react quicker, why should you be penalized? And it's interesting to note that they didn't start off when that rule was brought in. They didn't start off at 0.01. I can't remember if it was 0.02 or 0.015 or something like that. And then they realized that a lot of people were able to do better, and they changed it. They brought it back down. So there's a kind of trial and error element in it. But I can't understand, why am I being penalized when I did not? You are telling me I reacted after the gun, which is what I'm supposed to do after the gun. Anyway, let's move on to there was an incident I saw on the track, and this is kind of where the official I mean, something wasn't very tight. I don't like the idea of everybody running onto the field to congratulate winners. And I think for a meet of this type, we should be past that. We don't have barriers now. I mean, there are no fences. There used to have a time when they had a fence, like a bordering where the cycle track is. But there's no fence there anymore. And everybody can just run onto the fields. I mean, no, don't do that. Let the athlete come to meet the whoever they want to hug or so on off the field. But we need to tighten up on that shouldn't happen. And then there's this official who was just walking, I mean, quite casually during an 800-meter race. And the guys were right there and had to run around him to not to either knock him. In fact, one athlete actually fell. What kind of meet is this at this level where you have an official walking across the track? That's ridiculous. That just shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen. No excuse for that. No excuse.
There have to be some serious lessons learned. As we all have said earlier, this is now a stellar international event. And there's something that just cut it to the chase. It's just unforgivable, should never have happened. And so it's going forward now how you ensure that doesn't happen. There are a lot of them are volunteers, there are officials and so on and so forth, but I don't know if it's lack of it needs to be tighter. They need to have probably a set of persons designated to secure,
the finish
that
line. Yeah.
kind of thing. I think that's what happened. We need to have that. Nobody should be coming over, there's absolutely out. And an official doing that, some observing should be taking place so that the moment you see that about to happen, you're able to hit it, because it's unforgivable. But the worst one for me, because this snow, and it's the second time that's happened. We can't have a situation where the hurdle, either the height was wrong or the
Yes.
the thing that they,
Yes.
Yes. Some action
Yeah.
to be taken. I mean,
It happened at the Gibson relays, and it wasn't hurdles. It was a straight 60 meter, and we couldn't measure 60 meters. I mean, that something is wrong. But and when I was watching it, I wondered myself. I think this probably is the last. I mean, every year the international audience gets bigger, and I was kind of wondering, is this such a good look? I mean, Jamaica is saying we want to host.
No.
It was not good look. Those things weren't a good look. So.
You guys forget about Mr. Murphy. Murphy's law will always enter. You can't cut it out completely, but we can guard against them.
We can guard against it. And I'm saying, in the postmortem, they must come up with some strategy, some way going forward to well, you can't ensure, but to avoid some simple things like that. That should just not happen.
Yeah.
You couldn't predict that anybody would have walked across while a race was going on. And anybody on the field has to be an official. So to be just, unwittingly doing it, because he didn't do it deliberately, but it looks so stupid that it injured people. I mean, it made them fall,
Yes, and he didn't even look back, I know.
But I can't swear that he didn't.
Well, I was looking at a video recently, and in fact, Desmond sent me a video clip of it, although I did see the incident, but this gave me a bit of a better view. And he just kind of continued on his merry way, Anyway, let's not dwell on that. Let's go back on the track itself. And soon be opening up to everybody, so don't just bear with us a little bit more. Well, obviously the outstanding performances were the 200 meters. Do you think any of these persons have a chance to make the senior team? I would like your comments. This year's senior team, I'm talking.
Whoa. Yes, if you said if they have a chance, yes, both. I think looking at the female, I think it's more difficult. Yeah, it would be more competitive, because right now I think we could enter 2 female relay teams and run 1-2, or at least in the top 3. It is that competitive, right? So Alana, it's by all means it's a distinct possibility, and then also you realize it could be quicker than 9.9. I mean, he didn't shut down, but from about 80 meters, he was looking.
Well, which of the 2 you think has the better chance to make the team?
Who?
Alana.
Alana.
Because there are people saying already that Brianna in trouble. That's what they said right after. That Brianna in trouble. You don't see how she can make it. I just tell you.
Look at the form chart now. I mean, if we look at the form chart now, if we I mean, it's almost routine to expect to see Shelley, Sharika, and Elaine making the team. And we know this year we will have 4 contenders, because Shelley would have gotten an automatic by being the defending champ.
Yeah.
So we'll have 1 more person to enter in the team. So
Same for the 200 as well.
Right. So I do think Alana has a chance to sneak in there, 10.92. I think if she run that in the final, she definitely can make the team for the 100.
Watch her for Carifta, and then you see.
Well, yes, go ahead. Finish your point.
No, that's all I'm saying. You watch her for Carifta this weekend. I mean,
right.
Each weekend.
Well, I have a slightly different opinion. I I think that there are a lot of girls, young ladies, who are still going to keep out somebody like an Alana.
Yes.
Yeah, they feel. I think Nkrumah has a better chance.
I agree with you.
Because in terms of those who have run sub 10, he's right up there.
Exactly.
You know, so I think he has a better chance because remember you have a team of.
But I mean the psychology though, moving from the junior level to being in the senior level, I mean they tend not to perform so well their first time around.
You're right, but I'm just saying I think he has a better chance of making the final of the seniors. You know, at least making the final than Alana, even though her time is also pretty impressive. But just because of the depth that we have now in the women, you know, that's all I'm saying. Certainly, by making the team, I'm including part of the relay pool.
Right.
I'm including part of the relay pool.
Yeah. About six persons. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I want to just open it up because I may have a few more points, but I can always bring that in after. Who from the floor would like to make a contribution to what has been happening or maybe raise an issue that we have not yet spoken about? I mean, we are gonna talk about the incident with the Calabar and the KC. You know, we're not gonna ignore it. But before we even get to that, I want to give the audience an opportunity to see who would like to come in.
Well, this is President Anthony, Kiwanis Club of Rosal, Montego Bay.
Okay, go ahead.
Healthy discussion thus far. But one of the things I want to say is something that I've been identifying and looking at for a while. I think the team need someone to look at their social skills or social behavior. You see, for far too long we have ignored those gun finger pointing and those behavior. And further, we want to look at even the incident where the Calabar athlete in the latter part there was disqualified and how the other team member behave. They have to understand too. I understand the other three are hurting, but you have to understand that the young man who would have infringed would be hurting also. So we need to look more than just developing the skills of the athletes. We want to go a little deeper than just the natural developing the talents. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, well, since you brought up that, I said we're going to talk about it. Let's do it now then. I saw there were 2 deliberate, okay. The Calabar athlete definitely infringed and impeded the KC athlete. There's no question about that. People are questioning, saying it was deliberate. You know, I don't think we can prove that. But the fact is that he did, and he deserved to be disqualified, okay? The KC athlete, however, immediately after, he pushed the athlete and he accosted him. But what was even more noteworthy or noticeable is after that, he ran about 10 meters and pushed him again. Now, that particular Calabar athlete, you know what his name is at school? Pastor.
Preacher.
Well, I've heard people say pastor.
I got this from Authentic Thing because he was one of the beneficiaries of the hunt, the Wagga hunt thing. You know Wagga hunt was a case. Yes. But I'm just mentioning that, and he actually left. He has been saying that guy is a very docile person, and he was speaking about his character. So you hear the KC people telling you about the Calabar guy, and they definitely did not understand why the reaction had to be. But we're all going to have the same conversation. The social things, you don't know what happens to an individual. Just like when somebody shoots somebody, you don't know. You're just saying wicked. So be careful.
Well, the thing is that the KC athlete was disqualified and was banned from the rest of the meet. And then that decision was reversed. That I can't understand.
Yeah.
That I can't
explain
understand.
what I was told. I mean, I can volunteer.
Tell me what you were
sounded
told.
reasonable. What sounded reasonable. What they said was the two things were not done the same time. If it was done the same time, there was no recourse. But 2 days after, it's when the second one happened about the disqualification from the meet. That's why they said, and he had already run the heats for the 100 relay, the 4x100. So they appealed based on the IAF rules that could not go. That is all. They use the rules.
The rules that said what? You mean you should have banned it from the first day?
You have to do it within a specified time, and that time had expired. Long expired.
Whoa. I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that.
But the rules, because you would, if you're going to punish him and ban him from the meet, it has to be done within a certain time, and this was way out of the time.
Okay.
I'm just telling you the rule. They didn't quote the rule, but that's what they used. And if you heard Mr. Wellington, is it last night or this morning? He said the two people of the referees or the whatever it is, the jury,
yes,
or Casey, recused themselves from the thing. He did not think that any of the others who remained ever were even Casey old boys or anything.
Yes.
And they came up with the decision based on the rules.
All right, but let me say this
view.
though. Fine, let me say this though. It shouldn't have waited that long anyway. So again, this is a fault of the officiating.
Lesson learned.
So there have been a number of incidents where as I'm saying, the officiating has not been A class. This has not been A class, because that should have been dealt with just as it should have been from the beginning.
But do you know, Mr. Chairman, do you know that a protest has to be lodged for charge to be taken?
No. I don't think this is a protest. I don't know if everything has to be.
Somebody has to lodge a protest to the jury.
No. So wait a minute now. Hold on now. Rules are, the officials take decisions based on rules. They already have rules that if something is done, you can do this. So are you suggesting that Calabar should have made some presentation to say that the case guy should have been banned from the meet? I don't think that's how it works. Not for a case like this. No, that's not up to us. So the point, and I say us because most people know I'm a Calabar fan, old boy, put it that way. But I'm just saying that is not a case where we know about the other situations. If you are penalized and you are going to protest, there are time frames within which you must do that. But then the officials have an obligation to take the appropriate action when they see what is an infringement and what is against the rules. They know the rules. Okay, let me open it. Let me get somebody else in from the floor.
Yeah, there's a hand raised.
Okay. That's Bev Thompson. Bev, go ahead, please. Bev, your hand is up. I assume you wanted to say something.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm having a little issue with my phone and the mic. Okay, good evening again, everyone. My little 2 cents here is that this year's champs, whereas I enjoyed it, I just wondered, I saw more occurrences of persons running and tumbling at the end of the race. They just spread off on the track, and everybody just running, either jumping over them or I have noticed an increase. I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but I'm wondering, what do you think could have caused this? A lot of them seemed exhausted. Some of them were, I suppose, just overwhelmed with winning a race or that, but everybody just fall down, tumble down. Anybody have that?
Maybe they were pushing themselves to the max. But Martino, since you're also a doctor on the scene, would you like to comment on that point that's raised by DLG Bev?
Yeah, she's right. A lot of athletes had falling at the end of the race, but it was just pure exhaustion. By time we would have gone to their site to assess them, they would have been up and ready to go again.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. The other thing I want to ask for the persons who are really more knowledgeable about track and field, is it then that if somebody should fumble at the finish line, should anybody run to their aid, or as you just said, by the time they get to them, they would have gotten up? But suppose it was something more serious. Like I saw one where this girl did not get up after probably about a good 15 seconds or 20 seconds there, and just somebody else on the field saw and went over and lifted her off. But persons are asking, when these persons fall at the thing, should anybody go to their rescue at that point in time?
Yeah, they have them.
Martina coming again.
Yes, man. Yeah, we do have standard protocols. So yes, when they do fall, we routinely, but when somebody fall, we have strategic points where the EMTs and the doctors are located, and we make a first point assessment by time they had fallen, and then an EMT would normally go by the side to make the initial assessment. So by that time we'll have a good idea what was going on. Do they need to be lifted? Do they need to be taken to the medical room, or can it be treated on spot?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
President Roberts, you have your hand is up next.
Good night. Good night. You hearing me?
You're breaking up a little bit, but you're coming through now. Go ahead.
Good night.
Yes,
Yeah,
go ahead. We're hearing you.
About two simple. Yeah. You hearing me now?
You're not coming through consistently. I don't know if it's your location.
Okay. Where the blocks are concerned, I'm just wondering if some of the...
All right, maybe what you could do, put your point in the chat, and I will ask I'll ask someone to read it for you, because you're not coming, we're not hearing you clearly, and you're breaking up. All right, so let's Earl, you had your hand up, or you took it down? Maybe you had already spoken. I think I saw your hand up. All right, who else from the floor would like to contribute to the discussion? Marcel, you had something else I think you wanted to say when we're...
Yes, we spoke of the 100, and we understand. I don't think we have to belabor that. But I must tell you, I was impressed with the 400 meters, both male and female, but the men 400 meters. My concern is, and this is a more general thing now, right? That obviously we are 100, 200 country. Well, we shouldn't be, but we have been very successful at the 100 and 200. And we have had, and I'm sorry, Bert is not on, Bert on camera. We have had a number of 400 meters runners, right? Who at the high school level seems to be there or thereabouts. We're not there enough. We already look at the 400 at the high school level and junior. But the potential is there. My concern is, there's no question that in Stephen and Glenn, we probably have the world best. So is it that we just need to have, probably important, right? A 400 and 800 meter coach at the level of Glenn and Stephen to get these athletes who seem very, very good at 400 at the high school level to transition and hold it. We had, her name just slipped me now. Hold on. Oh Lord. Couple of years ago, I mean, was thereabouts, and
Rashid?
No, not Rashid. Oh man.
Michael Taylor.
Taylor is the one, but I'm hoping, you know, that he will come through. You know, he's thereabouts. I mean, he made it to make the final of an Olympic race is tremendous. He did make the
Gonzalez.
Final. Himself and Taylor had a battle royal. Yeah.
You mean Bloomfield?
Bloomfield.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder what has happened. Is it coaching at this level? And I said Bert would have been able to probably, you know, shed some light on it.
Well, remember Bloomfield went abroad though, you know.
Yeah,
he did go abroad.
Yeah.
And he had some injury issues. So maybe we'll see how he turns out
this
year.
This is what I'm saying. Our greatest, most of our greatest successes have been those who have remained home, right? And have been trained by Glenn and Stevens. So that's what I'm saying. If we were able to have coaches of that level for the 400 and the 800, maybe, just maybe, you know, we could be there.
Okay, guys, it's getting close to 8:30. We have to wrap, you know, so we have to now get it down now to the final piece. Yes, President Junior.
Good. The 100 meter, the fast start in the 100 meter has always been a problem to me, because we spoke about it and we said we could go back to the whole thing where anybody who start fast start just out are what we have present there, so on. But I think I might have discussed this with you already. But why couldn't we, in 100 meter, for example, I talk about the 100 meter because there's where you have most of the fast starts, and run the race, put a red flag up in the block of the person who fast starts. So you don't disrupt the race at all. Nobody have any advantage or disadvantage. And when you're done, if you have the red flag saying lane number 2, you have time to investigate it, and you investigate and you disqualify him at that time. Just like if a man run and cross over the line and so on. You don't look for him and pull him out of the race at that time. Cross the line. So why
I think that part of the reason is that there is a lot of it affects the adjacent lane or somebody else. And what you really want is a fair start. Actually, what you are suggesting is done in swimming.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
it is done in swimming where they don't call you back if everybody dives off, but you went a little bit ahead. They don't call you back. It would take too much time for everybody to come back out of the water and to go back. So that is the practice in swimming. But I think when you're on land, I think it's a little different. So maybe the traditions have developed differently, because I've seen.
But what disadvantage would it have? Right, I think it's the best way of all the ways.
Well, then what it would, you see,
second false start and so on and so forth.
The psychology of athletes are affected there. If somebody has picked the start and you know that they picked the start, it's going to throw off the athlete beside that person.
It's going to do what? I'm not sure.
Said it would throw off the athlete. Well, you see, part of the reason why it throws off the athlete is because he's now expecting the gun to call. Well, what President Junior is saying is that if the gun if there's never a call back, I don't know. I think I prefer it like how it is, where you want everybody to go off with a fair start, you know. But what was interesting, and there were a number of cases. It happened to Calabar in the class 3 relay, where the guy just went. I mean, there's no question that it was a false start. No, I can live with those, even though it's disappointing, you know, depending on the team you're cheering for. But I can live with those because that's a clear false start. I still have a problem with this 0.01, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
unfortunate for your 4x4.
It happened again. Yeah. So, and then there's also the rule that if you don't turn up for an event that you are scheduling, you can't take part in any other event in the meet.
So that's why they deliberately false start sometimes.
Right.
He's not turned up. That's a ploy that has been used over the years.
Yes, and
Yes,
therefore
that too.
one can therefore question when this happens. There's a forced situation where it is gonna delay the meet. So maybe do we need to reconsider whether we have that rule? I mean, what's the purpose of the rule? I guess the purpose of the rule is to say you don't want people to be picking and choosing where they want to exercise their advantage.
That is it.
You know?
That is it.
But
you have to have that, and then it's going to have the consequences of persons doing what they have done. I think they don't have to live with that.
Yeah.
I just recall one little incident, not of champs, but of track and field. Years ago, you had two hurdlers, a guy named Casanas from Cuba and Nehemiah from US. They were out here for, must be the normal man, the games or whichever. And Casanas always made a twitch or so to get his opponent off guard, but they were ready for him. But then it was looking as if it was only Nehemiah was going to run the race, so to speak. But those are the things they guard against by coming down with the over the years, why they now finally come back down to the one star.
You're right. You're right.
Examples.
Just wanted to ask something quickly, Prez.
Go ahead.
There was one race where this class 4 athlete, male, had to run the hurdles all by himself. It was class 4?
No, there's no male class 4.
No, class 3 then it was. Must have been class 3 then.
Yeah, there was one race like,
yeah.
A youngster.
He had to run a time run.
So what was the reason for that?
Apparently he was disqualified and should not have been disqualified. And they couldn't run over the whole race. So they gave him his chance, which was not really good.
Yes.
But that's the only result they had.
Yeah, that's the only way they could do it, yes.
I mean, and that's nothing new. It happened with the United States 4x100 meter team who came back to beat the Jamaicans in the finals.
And remember the Gibson relays, and the guy made it. Was it Gibson? But anyway, the meet that the guy actually ran is a Steertown, and I think he ran and made the time and knocked out the one who was the 12th position. He was disqualified unfairly, and they gave him a chance to run. He had to run better than 11:07, and he did better, significantly better. So the person who was probably happy that they had made the 12 had to drop out. Yeah. So those things have happened. And I really also don't understand the blunders that happen in the starts.
So DP Stewart, have we decided among ourselves which of our talented athletes, male or female, who broke the 100 record is more likely to make the national team?
Well, views have been expressed. I have said that I think that Nkrumah has the better chance. I think the depth in the women's would still keep out Analana. That's what I think.
I tend to agree with that because you have a lot of young ladies. I mean, I think the girl Nelson ran in the last relay team. And you have
Kemba Nelson.
Yes, and then
you have a lot.
Brianna Williams.
Right, but they're not performing at a 10.92 no. They're not performing at the level at Alana is at no. But I mean, we have to wait on the trials though.
Alana has peaked. Alana has peaked for an event.
Right. That's the point. Remember, exactly. That's a good point because the pros are not peak, are not time to deliver their best.
Peak, no, right.
Exactly, no, right.
But at the same time, if you look at consistency, even if we look at what they female 100 meter final times were at the last trials, they were not winning 10. The fourth and fifth were not winning 10.92.
Yeah, but you have to look on the conditions.
Yeah, you remember the point I made.
Running negative 2.5.
Right. The win is definitely a factor. If it's a headwind or a tailwind, definitely would be a factor there.
And by the way, I know a quick one, Stuart. Listen, I heard something which I think we should adopt. We talk about the wind. I didn't realize that there were two ways you could approach. Well, I realized, you know, I've been doing it, that you could
long
approach
jump.
the long jump.
Yeah.
Would it be out of place to do the switch to facilitate if you have a strong negative wind?
Are you talking just for the long jump, or you mean even in the 100?
No, I do just
just the long jump.
Just the long jump. In the US, I've seen them reverse the 100 and run in the opposite direction. Yes, I've seen them. I've seen that done at meets in the US.
Is that
right? To get a record.
It would be kind of odd because everything is our infrastructure is just set up at one end.
It's for the record.
But yes, certainly for the long jump, yes, it can be done. And we have the 2 pits.
Yeah,
we have them. Yeah, that's.
They have used them rarely. They have used other one rarely. But I suppose the time of day that they do it, they figure it wouldn't.
Okay, I want to wrap now. But the last point I want to throw out. One of the things that I think we could have could have enhanced the spectacle of 2023 champs was if, and I'm not, this is not a judgment, but just from a spectator point of view, if some of the stars who were eligible to compete this year were still around this year. I mean, there were, for example, Kerika Hill, she's pretty young.
Yeah.
Right? She has gone pro.
Yeah.
She has beaten Alana. Do you know that she beat Alana last year?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, they were both at Idle anyway. And she's such a beautiful hurdler.
Yeah.
I missed somebody seeing somebody like a Kerika Hill, you know, on the track.
Yeah.
Obviously, my other favorite is Brianna Liston. You know, who was eligible, you know.
Yeah.
But we not. But you remember with Christopher Taylor, we all said he stayed to his final year, and then after in retrospect we said, boy, no, he shouldn't have. So we're not judging these decisions, but I'm just saying from a spectacle point of view, it would have been nice to see some of these athletes who were eligible to run again. And it kind of robbed the meat of some of the star power. You know, that's what I'm saying. It kind of lost some of the star power.
We did you all a favor, Stu. We did you all a favor. We kept improving because we were more logical about it.
Okay,
and I just getting my one punch.
Yes, go ahead. Who you gonna punch?
Yeah, well, you're lucky I'm on this side. Everybody had about a close battle. Weren't you all surprised? We could have done without running a few relays and let me ask you. No, I'm not.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this though. JC had at least 2 relays that they were thrown out of because of Calabar also had about 2 relays. And in fact, I looked at the champs preview, and in fact our LG sent me a message saying, I must ask this question. Why did the champs preview get it so wrong? So I didn't have the preview before, but a friend of mine sent me the point standing. Remind me, KC had 360 something.
Yeah,
how much JC?
You mean in the preview?
No, not in the preview. Not in the preview.
No, in the final.
Actual points.
Actual points.
Right. And JC had about 299. Okay.
299.
67.
Calabar, I've forgotten.
Okay. Calabar 207. 207. But when I looked at the preview projection, the biggest loser was Calabar.
Yeah.
In terms of projection. And that is probably where KC probably got some of those points that Calabar was projected to get. So I think, and we certainly the class really, we were expected to either win or come second. We had a very good team. And we weren't expected to do very well in the 4x4. So although we picked out in that, you know, I don't think we'd have gotten that many points in that anyway. But that is just a few of it. In terms of records, I don't remember how many records actually went, but it was not. When I was trying to find out how many records were broken, I think there might have been somewhere between 6 or 7 or
about
that kind of number. But while I was searching for that, I saw a previous, because my search was not time specific. And I saw where a Calabar victory, that particular meet, there were 30 records broken.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's another way of how to evaluate a championship, by records. But we have to end. We have to come to an end. And
sorry, may I just make one point? The reason why I want to come to an end, have a chance of winning the schools challenge is about to start. I'm just letting you.
Right. I'm glad you told me the time, because I know they're doing some preliminaries, right? I'm looking forward to that. So
I hope you beat Diego.
Yes. I hope so too.
Diego has beaten them the 2 times.
I know.
It won't happen.
You mean in 2 finals? You mean 2 finals?
Yes.
Okay, but okay. Anyway, we're gonna close now. Thank you very much for all the participation. I couldn't have asked for more in terms of your willingness to put your last 2 cents in. And it has been a pleasure being the moderator for this program. Thank you very much.
We won't have any music tonight.
No, I will play some music, but I'll be watching. I can still play the music and watch. Okay, back to you, President Junior.
Oh, pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you again, Martino. Thank you, Marcel.
All right.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Good. President Junior, your time.
Thank you. Thank you all for participating. Thank you to our moderator and our panelists. It was a very interesting debate that we've been having. We could go for all night if we had the time, but we have to stop at this point. Good. So we go to our next item on our agenda. Sarge, we'd like to hear from our Sarge at this time. Sarge, are you on? What's happening here? You're getting some feedbacks. Okay. Sarge, time for your presentation. I don't remember, saw you online.
President Junior, I remember seeing something, I don't know if it's in the chat or a WhatsApp, to say that the Sarge was unavoidably absent this evening.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, we just charge everybody for this very good discussion, $200 for the night, everybody who attended. Okay. Let us go now to
our members.
Members, sorry. I just thought that was obvious, but our members. Yes, $200 charge across the board. Okay, so our next item is notices and announcement, DLG and interclub opportunities.
President Junior, if I might.
Yes.
I think I think early on in the agenda, we should be thanking the panelists for a really spirited discussion. Right. I think we missed that agenda item.
Okay. Oh. And who? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead then PD.
Okay. Thank you, President. Yes, you see, I know it's running late, but they did such a wonderful job that we couldn't let it slide for tonight.
Definitely.
And I know it was my task to thank 2 panelists, but I suspected that we would have had 3, because I know DP Stewart. I've heard him on this platform argue sport with none other than Bruce James and hold his own. So I know that he would not be a moderator tonight. I know that he would have been one of the panelists. But I realized though that we ended up with 4, because there's a guest panelist in the person of DP Earl. And we enjoyed we enjoyed this contribution as a panelist. So my thank you will be actually to 4 panelists instead of 2. No, I'm one of those who have to admit that. I'm one of those who have to admit that.
I was invited and I declined.
Yeah.
But I was not the analyst type, but I offered to join in.
And it
was appreciated, sir.
Thank you for recognizing that and for showing me, sir. Thank you.
Right. And I must admit that unlike persons like DLG, Bev, I'm a wagonist, right? I can't quote stats. I can't call names. I can't critique the event, but I always enjoy listening I always enjoy watching track and field. I enjoy the moment. I enjoy listening to pros like the ones I heard tonight, analyzing what has happened. And so my thank you is along the line of just a simple-minded person who can't quote anything about track and field, but enjoy it for what it is. Really good entertainment. Yeah. And what came off from the panelists is that there are several things we have to look out for. One, the meet itself. In order to protect our athletes, the panelists came across quite clearly. We need to work on our scheduling.
Yes.
Because without the scheduling, we end up with athletes who should be performing at a certain level, performing sub what they should. Maybe because they are overtired or something. So I know that we need to do that. And it was quite clear from the panelists that when you put spectator presence versus the athlete's welfare always has to come out on top. The next thing that came across quite clearly to me is that we need to refine this issue of starting. When do you false start from when you don't false start? And even though that is not just for us locally, because it has international ramifications. The panelists did go through several scenarios, and it has deepened my understanding of some things. Spectators, we have to look at what's the discipline, persons running on the track and all of that. It is also for the protection of the athlete, because athletes can get injured, and the panelists were quite clear on that, right? There also has to be the discipline of the officials. I mean, I heard panelists talking about the hurdles being at the wrong heights or wrong distance and all of that. Things like that, we have to get it right, because we are no longer a little champs. We are now one of the premier events on the athletic scene, right? Yeah. And last but not least, we have to look at the socialization of our athletes. You know, their persons, I think President Robert said it, we have to not look just at their athletics prowess, but we also have to be building the persons who are involved, not just high performance athletes, but also high performance people with the right integrity, with the right personalities. So, you know, all in all, what I got from the panelists is that they were all impressed with the performances. The talent pool is very deep and it's widening. But we need to keep the welfare of the athletes in mind. And it's paramount that we prevent burnout so that the athletes can transition to the professional level. So all in all, another good year for Champs. Another good evening discussing what happened at Champs. And on behalf of everyone else, I just want to thank the 4 panelists, 2 officials plus two joiners, for really a sterling performance this evening. I have learned a lot. Can't tell you I'll retain it because I say I'm not one of those of that mind, but I really enjoyed it. So thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Back to President Junior.
Yes. And thank you. Thank you for that summing up as well. It was extremely good. I really enjoyed it. And I suppose that most of us, if not all of us, also enjoyed it. So let us move to the next item on our agenda, which is the notices and announcements, and interclubbing opportunities. DLG Willie, are you still with us? Are you been knocked out by
Thank you, President Junior.
Yeah.
Fellow Kiwanians, in terms of notices, just a reminder, ECNC District Convention being held in Quebec City between May the 18th and the 20th. Registration is still open to anybody who is wishing to join. Kiwanis International Convention held in Minneapolis, Minnesota from June the 18th to 21st. Now, this is going to be a hybrid meeting. Closer to home, reminder to our SLP chairman and Kiwanian advisors, our Key Club Leadership Training Conference, District Leadership Training Conference being held at Monique College from the 14th to the 16th. So far, 5 of our 9 key clubs have registered and will be in attendance, which is good news. So far, we have St. Hugh's, KC, Dunham, St. George's, and Stats. Reminder that next week, Tuesday, we won't be having our usual weekly online meeting. We'll be attending our all clubs meeting for District Division 23 Central, East, and West at the Police Officers Club. This will be at 6 o'clock, and this will be held during Governor Haley's visit, official visit to Jamaica, in particular 23 Central, East, and West. He'll be arriving, the governor will be arriving on April the 10th. On April 11th in the morning between 10 and the afternoon at 4, he will be visiting some of the club projects. Later in the evening, as I mentioned, he will be at the all club meeting and the induction of new members. The following day, he will be meeting with the SLP leaders, after which he will be leaving. In terms of upcoming events, please note that a follow-up to our get-together event, which was held end of last month. We'll be having another one at 11 Fairway Avenue at the premises of DP Richard Reese on Friday, April 28th. On Friday, May 26th, we'll be having a Barbie Fry on the 8th. And there will be a fundraising meeting tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at my home to discuss the Barbie Fry and the upcoming National Dance Theatre benefit performance. Just by way of invitation, we have an invitation from Nation Builders Kingston and Young Professional St. Andrew to attend their Easter egg hunt on April the 15th on the grounds of Campion College. Tickets are available. I have tickets. Anybody want to support our young Kiwanis Club, please let me know.
Okay.
And so far as interclubs, normally on tomorrow evening, we would attend, we would interclub with New Kingston. Seeing that many of us will be at fundraiser meeting, we'll still see if we can arrange an interclub with New Kingston. Then on the following evening on the 6th, we'll be interclubbing with North St. Andrew. Thank you, President Junior. You may want to invite any other member clubs that are visiting if they have any announcements at this time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, DLG Willie. Are there any other clubs that would like to make an announcement at this time? If there is, let us do so quickly.
Just to remind members,
okay,
we have not been taking advantage of the offer made by North St. Andrew with a sensational solar raffle. The books are available. There are 10 tickets, and each ticket is $500. Every book you sell, we get 50% of the returns. I have books. So far, we've only distributed 8 books. So please, I'm urging and imploring our members to get involved. This is an easy fundraiser. So let us see how best we can get ourselves involved. Thank you.
Thank you, dear G. Willie. And again, I'm encouraging all our club members, or as many as possible, to get involved with this project. Okay. Anyone online that would like to at this time?
Yes, President. Yes, President. Good evening again.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm still awake. I don't know how coherent
You
I am,
should
but
be.
I'm awake.
You should be.
Okay,
You sound good, you're
so the Kiwanis Club, the Kiwanis Club of 23 Central Surrey Online has our benefit play, No Hope for Hopi. The tickets are $2,000, and the play will be held on April 30th at the Little Theater. So it's a benefit play, so please do go out, buy your tickets. You know LGD Desmond, who is a dual member, you can contact him or someone else, DP Cheryl, and so forth and so on.
We can get tickets from them.
Yes, please do buy some tickets on my behalf. You know I
Okay.
can't be there, so please go support us. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other announcements? Any other announcements we'd like to make at this time? Yes, any other announcement? If not, you again, DP Stewart, thought of the week. What do you have in mind this week?
Okay, President Junior, yes, I have 2 thoughts. The first one, yesterday's knowledge is the biggest limiting factor to tomorrow's progress. And that one I got from John Maxwell. And this other one says, when you devote yourself to a little of everything, you commit a great deal of yourself to nothing. And that's from a book, The One Thing.
Yes.
So back to you, President Junior.
Thank you, DP Stewart, for those thoughts. And if there's nothing more to discuss at this point, I'd like us all to raise our glasses and drink a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica land we love. This meeting is now terminated. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for attending. And good night to you all.